The Chicago Bulls finally made a trade, and while it was not a huge trade by any stretch of the imagination, it is a trade that could set them up to be even bigger buyers at the trade deadline if they decide to do so. The question many people are asking, was this the only move, or was this just the appetizer to a larger move? Artūras Karnisovas stepped in as a third team and added 2 second-round picks and brought in Dario Saric, and now the Bulls suddenly have even more flexibility than what they already had. We're going to break down exactly what this means, what could be next, and dive into the mailbag right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Darren Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content today, y'all. The Chicago Bulls entered a trade as a third team. The Cleveland Cavaliers traded DeAndre Hunter to the Sacramento Kings for Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis, two players that can actually help a team that is trying to get out of the rut that they've been in as a team. They add more guard depth, add more defense, and another point guard who can share some of the distribution responsibilities there in Cleveland as well. Don't know what this means for another move for Cleveland with Darius Garland or anything like this, but the three-team trade included the Chicago Bulls, who acquired Dario Saric. They had to waive Jevon Carter to make a spot for him. They got a 2027 second-round pick from the Cleveland Cavaliers and a 2029 second-rounder from the Sacramento Kings as well. The note of this part is that the Bulls did not have a second-round pick until 2028, so now they pushed that a year earlier. And the reason why that is important is that if you're trading for a team now, they could want that draft compensation to come sooner rather than later. Now, that's a big if when it comes down for it, right? But for what it's worth, this is the first time that we've seen AK really make an asset stacking trade, right? Where he uses part of one of his trade exceptions to get Dario Saric in here, has to waive Jevon Carter to make space for. We're also sending Emanu el Miller because you have to send something out in one of those trades. He's going out in that trade as well. But this is a smart move for the Chicago Bears, right? For the Chicago Bulls. This is just a smart move to stack assets, even if they weren't to do anything else other than that. To get 2 second-round picks to just be the third team in the trade is not something we've seen AK do a lot of, right? And so now the question becomes about what is the next step of this, right? Being the third team, using your cap space, using your exceptions, we just have not done that. We've seen so many situations where the Bulls have had trade exceptions. They've had disabled player exceptions. They've had things that they've just let expire. Now they use one and stack more assets to do so. So the question now becomes about, is this the only move, or does this set the Bulls up? The Bulls now have 2 additional second-round picks to use on the trade market, in addition to $89 million in expiring contracts across 7 players, and they have an even larger trade exception they can use as well if they decide to do so. The Bulls maintain their long-term cap flexibility also, right? They still have their full mid-level exception that they can use to acquire even more players right now. They have that they still have not used that on. So there's a number of things at the Bulls' disposal right now that makes all of this really like, okay, what are you about to do for the Bulls, right? What are you actually about to do here? Because you have all your own first-round picks. You have 7 players on expiring deals. You have a trade exception. You have a lot of things that you can use at your disposal. And so when you look at some of the players that are out there, right? Players like Yves Missi, Jeremy Sohan, Day'Ron Sharpe, these are all players that we've heard the Bulls will reportedly have a level of interest in that may be available for a couple of second-round picks, or it may be available for the Portland pick, right? So you have that asset to go into it, right? I'm going to talk about more things that they can do with the flexibility, but when you look at the level of players that the Bulls have been rumored in, not the Anthony Davis, the John Morants, the Zion Williamsons, not those level of players, because most of those guys aren't available now, and one of those guys in AD, y'all shouldn't even want in the Chicago Bulls uniform. Ja was always unlikely anyway, right? But for the Bulls to add what they've been missing, right, which is a defensive-minded big, there's a number of guys that are out there that could be available for that, or you can look to attach that to a Kobe White. You can look to attach that. Maybe that helps you move Nikola Vucevic's contract and or something like that, which with Vuce being, I know people hate to hear this, but with Vuce being expiring at this point, if you have to give up 2 second-round picks to move Vuce, you might as well hold on to them and hold on to those picks, use them in something else down the road, because it's not worth moving off of it right now to give up those assets. I know Bulls fans, we're all tired of Vooch, all that type of stuff, but I'm talking about from the best use of an asset standpoint. But you have those things that you can do. So yeah, if the Bulls turn around and swing this, right, because they were the third team in a trade, and swing this to turn around and get Yves Missy or Day'Ron Sharpe, how can you necessarily be mad at that? I'm not high on Jeremy Sohan, but we have heard recently that the Bulls are interested in Jeremy Sohan. So I can't, leave out that this could all be to get Jeremy Sohan in here to Chicago. Could very well be that. I think when you look at the contract of Dario Saric as well, it kind of fits in that if they decide to turn around and flip him later down the road, that's another option for you also. So there are things that the Bulls can do here. But this goes back to what a lot of people have been saying about the Bulls, right? And what I have been saying for the longest. You have way too many assets where things are right now. Way too many assets to not try to do something to improve your team, whether it be now or whether it be in the future. The Bulls with this move maintain their long-term flexibility, which was an important thing for them in that we all know they want to stay beneath the luxury tax. They don't get anywhere close to that. They maintain that flexibility. They still have a mid-level exception that they can use as well. They can buy out Dario Saric with that. But hey, even with this acquisition, there's still $8.2 million beneath the luxury tax, which leaves them quite a bit of room to fluctuate in at this trade deadline. If they decide to do so, they can take more money on than they're sending out, right? They can also waive Dario Saric with the deal to create another open roster spot to take back a lopsided trade. So this has the Bulls with more flexibility than we really kind of understood at the time. The question is are they going to use it? Now, I said I was going to talk about the other side of this. I know we're all talking about this year's trade deadline, and I want to see them. I want to be clear. I want to see them do something at this year's trade deadline. But it also gives them more flexibility in the draft. What I mean by that is this. Armed with potentially two first-round picks, they could have the Portland Trailblazers pick. If the Trailblazers make it into the playoffs, they're going to have to do so through making the play-in. They're not going to make the playoffs outright. They're right now the 9th seed in the Western Conference, with the Golden State Warriors probably without Jimmy Butler the rest of the season, them being the 8th spot above them. Now, the Phoenix Suns have been a really good team this year. They're going back and forth between that 6th and 7th seed, so it could be either the Lakers or the Suns there in that 7th seed in the play-in. But if the Portland Trailblazers make it out the play-in this year, they will go into the playoffs, and the Bulls will have 2 first-round picks. So potentially armed with 2 first-round picks and multiple seconds that you can move, the Bulls could very well look to move up the draft. They can pair their first-round picks to move up to get a guy they want. Maybe they pair their second-round picks and the Portland pick to move up higher to get a guy that they want towards the bottom of that first round. Keep in mind, if the Portland pick does convey, it's probably going to be anywhere between 18 and 22nd. So this adds more flexibility even for the draft. And for, the Bulls fans that look at the draft, especially, you want more bites at the apple in the draft, that's also could be what they're stacking up for here. They could be looking to stack it up at the trade deadline, but there's also that option that it could be more so built towards the draft, and we'll see there, right? It's not like so far, this isn't a needle moving trade. I want to be clear. It's not a needle moving trade, but this is now a tool at the disposal with added cap space and added draft capital. It's the tool there. The Bulls are involved in a lot of rumors, right? We're still involved in trade rumors for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Their trade package so far that we've heard about has been absolutely trash. But hey, if the Bulls now are saying, hey, maybe we're more apt to give up this Portland pick, or we can throw in 2 seconds, instead of you trying to lowball us on Mike Conley and TSJ, can we get that Juan Behringer up off you? It adds more flexibility there, right? Kobe White's still a hot name reportedly in the trade market. It's just that the value that we've heard in these trades aren't quite there. Ayo Dosunmu's still another player they can move at the trade deadline, but I think Ayo's showing himself he may be the perfect long-term 2 next to Josh Giddey. So there you go on that one. But then you also hear players like Trey Jones, players like Jalen Smith, these players that do have really good value at the trade deadline. The Bulls can pivot and look at that as well. So the Bulls have assets in this form of draft capital. They have those assets and money. They have those assets. And the important thing with the Bulls specifically is that they have to have money, but they have to have money that keeps them below the luxury tax because Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't want to pay the luxury tax. They have that flexibility, right? So they have that. Then they have players. Kobe White reportedly has value. Jalen Smith, Trey Jones has value. And why I would love to keep some of those guys here at the same time, if the value's out there that you can't pass up, you got to move those guys. I get it. Trey Jones has been magnificent for the Bulls. Jalen Smith as a starting 4. I want him as a starting 4 next to Modest Buzelis at the 3 until Noah Essengay, if and when he becomes ready to be that starting 4. That's what I want. But at the same time, the value. We can't complain about the Chicago Bulls not striking where the value's hot and then us do the same thing as fans and say, oh, well, we can't trade this player. He's playing too good. Do you want them to strike where the value's high or not? That's really what it comes down to. Now, I'm fine with you keeping Jalen. I'm fine with you keeping Trey. I'm fine with you keeping these guys because they have shown themselves to be valuable pieces for the Bulls. But if we want to strike where the iron is hot, you may have to do that. So we'll see. But this move could potentially set up a larger move for the Chicago Bulls at the trade deadline. The question is will it? And that's a question that we don't necessarily have the answer to now. We can try to trust the Chicago Bulls team and say they're going to. We can try to do those things. It doesn't necessarily mean that they will, right? Because that's how the Bulls work. We don't know if they will. We don't know what AK is going to do. AK just views the world differently. Whereas, another team, if another team were to make this trade with all the rumors that the Bulls have been in, I would say that I would adamantly say, oh no, they're setting up to make a big move. But unfortunately, because it is the Chicago Bulls, I don't feel comfortable in saying that they're setting up for anything because, again, we've seen AK do things that we look at before and we're like, damn, this could be the first piece of X, and they never do that second move. So we'll see what the Bulls do here, man. But I think they've set themselves up pretty nicely. They've put themselves in position, and that's what you can do is put yourself in position. Now you got to strike where it's hot at, and we'll see if the Bulls can do that. So whether it's Yves Missy, Day'Ron Sharpe, those type of moves. I don't really like the Jeremy Sochan acquisition in my personal opinion. I don't like him on the scene. We already got P. Will here. He is making less, and his contract does expire earlier, so you can get off that money earlier. So if it's something like that, okay, cool. But I just, while I'm all for taking shots at restricted free agents, I just think Jeremy Sochan isn't at that level yet. But hey, AK may see it differently. He may see a diamond in the rough for Jeremy Sochan, and God help us if he does. But let me know what you guys think on all of that down below. The Bulls, of course, have another game against the Miami Heat today. Hopefully more of our actual rotation plays in the game, and we'll see what's going to happen with that. But let's go ahead and get into this mailbag, man. This first voicemail that we have, this one is from Brian Washington.
Yo, Hayes, what up? This is your boy, B. Washington from the West Side. I just want to talk about one thing about trades and stuff like that, but I love Kobe. Much as I love Kobe White, he good. He played good. The team can win with Kobe. But they also show and prove that they can win without him. And to me, in my opinion, this is just my opinion personally, they play good with Kobe, and he do his thing. Kobe is Kobe, but they kind of play a little better. And more players get to touch the ball without Kobe. And I love Kobe, but they can make that trade. They can make that trade. I like the Missy and the Mathurin trade if they can pull that off somehow. But we need a big man. I would keep Jalen Smith. I would try to package Kobe and Vooch because that's what we need. And Kobe got the value. You know what I'm saying? Vooch, send him to a little winning team or whatever you got to do. I just hope they make the right move. But I would definitely lock Io in. He's going to be successful and a big part of whatever team he may end up in. Whatever. I would lock Io in. He's a glue guy. I would lock him in. But we just need that big man help because we're not too far, from the pack. You know what I'm saying? From making that number 6 seed. They just need to win. They just need to win, get on a good 7-game winning streak. Maybe lose a game, but they need one of those type of streaks to, that if they want to make it, because they not far behind and ain't too many teams too much better than the Bulls. They better, but they not that far. They just need a few pieces. The team is good. I love the way they playing. They just need those few pieces. Even if Patrick Williams can pull whatever out his ass and start playing the way we will be great. We just need him to play good. But he ain't giving us that. But they need to make some type of move. I wouldn't mind them sending Kobe. I love Kobe, but I wouldn't mind them doing packs to make a deal done because you're right and you still in the hunt of everything. You're not counted out yet. And the team is this good. You just need to tweak it a little bit. You ain't got to do too much or give up too much. But you got to give up something. You got to give up something. And I say go on, give up Kobe while you can because we can score. We can score. No doubt we can score. We just need a little bit more defense and some big man help. Hopefully Zach Collins come back soon and stay healthy. That's our main thing is healthy and building that chemistry. But, yeah, I would definitely make a move. I want to see something exciting, but they got to make the right move, man. They got to make the right move. Make the move make fucking sense.
If you attach Vooch to a Kobe White trade, it actually may lessen the value of Kobe. So I don't like, for example, if a team was going to give you unprotected first for Kobe White, if you attach Vooch to that, you're probably not going to get the first because Vooch just has that negative of value reportedly around the league in trade senses right now. So I don't know if you want to attach Vooch to a Kobe trade. You may want to attach the couple of seconds you got, maybe even the Portland pick to up some of that value. Maybe you do something like that, but I don't see Nikola Vucevic being attached to Kobe. He's making over $20 million. They'll make that trade or a $35 million-ish trade, $32-ish million trade at that point. I just don't see that happening. But we'll see what they do for Kobe. Of course, the rumors are there. It's just that the value, like hearing back Mike Conley, TSJ, and two second-round picks, that's not great value. For the Clippers, we're at Bogdanovich and 3 second-round picks, something like that. That's not great value for Kobe. So we'll see. And I think it is telling still that we're hearing that they're listening to offers for Kobe, but not necessarily shopping Kobe. But we'll see if that turns. That can shift very quickly now that you have these added assets to being to where the Bulls are now shopping him over the last 4 days leading to the trade deadline. But all right, let's get into this next voicemail, man. This one's from the 704.
Yo, Hayes, what's good, my man? First and foremost, want to just say love the show. And also just want to compliment, like, I've been watching the show for a while. And whenever you're doing something like that, you get to see other people's growth and development. So, I just want to give you a shout, a salute, man, for your own personal growth and development. The shows have always been good, but I also see that growth on your side. Just wanted to get into the Kobe White thing one time, man. So, transparency, I think that Kobe White has the potential to be one of the best guards in the league. Now, why do I feel that way? One, he has the ability to create for himself and others. Defensively, I feel like he's taken a step back. But when it comes to offensively, there are not many guys in the NBA that can get by all defenders in the league. And I don't care what defender it is, it's not easy to stop Kobe White. All you got to do is look at his handle, look at his ability to create separation and space. It is an elite skill that he has, and it cannot be debated. The part that hurts Kobe is the killer mentality. That's really it. He does way too much complaining and the certain attitude things. He doesn't have a bad attitude, but you watch his demeanor when something doesn't go his way and he's like sulking. I think those are the things that hurt him. But I do not feel that Kobe White, I don't want him to be traded, but I feel like we may be forced to if he doesn't prove that he can be that player whose responsibility is to score the ball, create for himself and others, but mainly score the ball down the stretch when teams are scheming and, you just can't stop him. So we need him to be that player where we can call on him to get that bucket at any given time. Now, here's the other thing. Kobe wants $30 million. Look up the people who are making $30 million and compare Kobe right now, his current way that he's performing right now. I believe he's averaging like 18, something like that. I forget the stats, but I looked at him real quick. But he's like, if you look at his stats and then compare him to the other players that are making $30 million. Now, I'm not saying that there's not players that are making less than that are performing better. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is what he's asking for, and when you look at the players that are making that kind of money, the way he's performing right now.
Kobe being one of the best guards in the league, offensively, yeah, I mean, he has that potential. I think that Kobe would have to get the streakiness out. If Kobe wasn't and I'm not even, this season has been rough in general, but let's just go off the last 2 seasons before this season. If Kobe White got rid of the streakiness, he's probably, instead of averaging like 20, would have been closer to 22, 23, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken, the last couple of years, there have only been a handful of players, maybe like 10, 11, that have averaged over 25 points per game. Could Kobe get to that place? Maybe. The question is how good is the team around him? If he's going to be there. That's the thing, right? Haven't seen great value for Kobe in there, so I don't know what that means in that one, but we'll see what happens. In regards to Kobe wanting $30 million, though, I think between the injuries and the play of Kobe White this year, he may not see that $30 million evaluation. He may have to settle more for like 22 to 25. And I'm not saying that to say that the Bulls should keep him just because that number should go lower. I mean, it's still, if the trade's there, the trade's there. But if it is more like 22, 25, maybe he signs a shorter deal instead of the full 5. Maybe he signs a 2+1 to try to get back on the market, earlier, right? And hopefully he's going to have 2 solid seasons there. That's a possibility there too. So that's what we could be looking at for Coby White, but we shall see. But let's get into this next voicemail, man. This one's from Brian. What's up, son?
Hey, Brian here. Hey, man. It's been a minute. Yeah. Let's talk about some centers, man. I know you're getting tons of calls on Yves Missy. Yves is good. His flashes look amazing. And a shot blocky, but he's a spaz. I mean, he's not ready. He's, like, if you watch the games, which I did, his flashes are amazing, but the rest of it is, whew, yeah, it's a little rough. But he'd be awesome. I mean, I'd be totally into it, but that's not who we need. And then we look at our buddy Nick Claxton. Nick Claxton literally is the second best center on the Nets. He'd be fine. He'd cost too much, and he's not the guy I want. Daron Sharp's the best center for us. Absolutely nails everything we need. An actual defensive anchor. He's got like 1.33 defensive DPM. That's crazy town. It's good numbers. He's an elite rebounder at 13% offensive rebounding percentage, that's bonkers. His screens, my favorite thing about him is his screens. He's 6'11", 265. He sets screens, man. And that would help our guards Giddy. Oh man, it'd be super, super good. But he could also do a little bit of that Vooch passing thing from the elbow. Decent passer. But his 265 frame, he's really light on his feet. He should be able to help and recover and provide the help defense we desperately need. An actual anchor. And it's if we can turn it around for those 2 seconds we just got, woo, man, that'd be sweet. And we'd still be completely open for drafting a center or throwing money at Kessler. Totally sets us up for the rest of the year. And we get like 30 plus games to check out what Daron can do. That's what I would do. That's that's my favorite thing that I want us to do. I hope it happens. There's no way it will because it's too perfect. What do you think, man? Cool. See ya.
Daron Sharp over Yves Missy or Nick Claxton. I see what you're saying as far as the value of Nick Claxton and what he's going to get paid. I do think the upside in Nick Claxton is way higher than Daron Sharp. I know that you're valuing, and I agree with all the strengths that you laid out there for Daron Sharp. Setting picks is really great. Mobility, size is really good. The contract, it's a team option for next year. So that means that, you still get another year of cost control after the season. Yves Missy has 2 more years after the season on a rookie scale contract, which provides that value. But I think Nick Claxton just has more upside. I know you said Nick Claxton's the second best center, but I think he's shown it this year. The offensive upside that Nick Claxton has and his flash this year has been higher than I think most people have given him credit for. But at the same time, I get what you're saying as far as the value. Like, it's not just about just the production; it's the value on production, right? Nick Claxton's making $25 million this year, whereas Daron Sharp's making $6 million. Daron Sharp's scheduled to make 6.2 next year, where Nick Claxton's scheduled to make 23, right? So while I do think Nick Claxton is the better player as things stand right now, it's like, all right, is he $20 million more better? Like, is that what we're seeing there? And I think that's a fair question there. But Claxton, I think, has tons of upside offensively. I think he's kind of a more traditional rim running type big. But listen, Daron Sharp is a monster. Nick Claxton's 215. Daron Sharp is over 240. So he does bring the size. He still has some mobility there. I would not be mad at the Bulls acquiring Daron Sharp at all. I think he's a guy that can come in, immediately help us a lot. But everything that you pointed out about a streak for Daron is absolutely there. It's legitimate. The passing. Now, I do think Nick Claxton has a limited ceiling passing wise, but Daron Sharp can bring some passing for that. And when you have a big man, even if they are a more defensive minded big man that makes smart passes, it makes your perimeter defense that much more dangerous. So I like Day'Ron Sharpe. And if the Bulls, I know there are going to be some Bulls fans who are like, oh my God, we got Day'Ron instead of Nick Claxton. Oh my God. But I do think Day'Ron has the potential to be one of those guys that you can look at and you're like, damn, for what he's getting paid, he comes in here and brings immediate value. And, I like that. He's a smart player. He doesn't try to do too much, outside of what the strengths of his game is, 60% shooting from the field. I also look at it having a point guard like Josh Giddey that can create for him and lob threats. Listen, I said he was 240 something. He's 265, so that's a big body out there to set picks for Josh Giddey, Io, Kobe, those type of guys. I like the concept of Day'Ron Sharpe coming here a lot. We just got to see if the Bulls are going to swing it, man. We'll see. All right, let's get into this next one, man. This one is from Corn.
Well, good word, King Drip. It's your brother Corn. Let's get right into this shit, man. Hey, we finally beat him. We finally beat the fucking Heat. Man. Tough game, good game. Two players I want to talk about. First thing first. Io. There's a reason why I go so hard for Io. There's a reason why I say the things about Io and I look at him as my favorite player. So, of course, when it comes to Io, I truly have some biases. But besides that, he shows me why I am biased, because he plays the game the right way. Shout out to you, Io DeSumo. Man, I don't care if he wins 6 Man of the Year or not. Most improved. I don't know. I don't care. I just know that he's having one hell of a season as a Bull. And as I get to sit here and watch, and, I'm going to toot my own horn. I got to sit here and knew that he was going to make this kind of leap and anticipating this leap of what he was going to do. It just makes it even more sweet. It really does. Shout out to Io DeSumo. Now, the second one. You're going to get a lot of calls about this one, right? Because you was talking shit. You still is. You going to say, well, there's a lot of people out, Kobe and all that. But we ain't going to speak on that. We just going to say, Yuki Mania has arrived. Yuki Mania has arrived. Shout out to fucking Yuki. Yuki can play in the NBA. Yuki belongs in the NBA. Now, will he go back to the Windy City Blues, probably tomorrow? Most likely. But today, we're going to honor him, and we're going to see that, and I believe that he could be an extension when we sub with Josh Giddey. Why not? Why not keep the same offense going when we sub in with Yuki? Yuki belongs in the NBA, man. And I felt like he proved it last night. Love you, King Drip. See fucking red. We beat the Heat. See.
First of all, Corn, if he's your favorite player, it's DeSumo, not DeSumo. He's not a sumo wrestler. DeSumo. So many of y'all get that name wrong in here and be like, I love Io. We have to keep DeSumo. It's like, hey, if you love him so much, get his name right. But that's just me poking a little fun at my brother. But yeah, Io's having a season, man. He's having a season that is special when you look at the fact of how much he's able to produce on the number of shots that he takes, right? And he's somebody that does whatever you need him to do. If you say, hey, we need you to play defense, then we need you to focus defensively. All right, bet. We need you to actually be a scorer for us. Bet. We need you to lead our fast break and go out there and be aggressive. Bet. Io DeSumo can do so much. There's like I said, there was this guy last year who was like, oh, Kobe White would be so much better. Io's holding Kobe back. I'm like, you're stupid. You're dumb. And he actually was dumb. As far as Yuki, first of all, if y'all taking a victory lap over Yuki playing 11 minutes where you were missing 6+ of your rotational players out and he played 11 minutes, Yuki still has a lot to show before he's an NBA caliber player. He's not that yet. Right? And the yet part is the important part. He could turn into one even at his size, but it's not there yet. All right, let's get into this last voicemail, man. This one's from Doug.
Hey, Hayes, this is Doug. On this morning's episode, you talked a lot about Kobe White and the poor play that he's had this year and how that affects his trade value and everything like that. And I think that his poor play, while some of it could be injuries, I think his poor play this year really comes from the stress of all the trade talk that he's had. Of everybody on the team, he's the one that gets talked about most of all for being traded. And while in interviews and everything, you hear him, he says the right things about how he doesn't worry about that and he just focuses on playing basketball and doing what he can and everything. On a personal level, that has to affect you. You know, he spent 7 years in Chicago, and depending on how a phone call goes, he could be told to move to a completely different city and pick up everything that he's built in Chicago, away from family, friends, and everything, and move just by a phone call. And that the stress of that possibly happening, that has to weigh on you, I would think, at a personal level. And I think come February 6th, if Kobe White is still a Chicago Bull, I think we're going to see him be the player more like he was at the end of last year and the player that we all know he can be. And I think the Bulls team as a whole is going to go on a run like they did at the end of last year, because all the trade talk then will be done and over with. And all of them can really get down and focus on just playing basketball and doing everything the right way and playing the right way like they should be. And they won't have other things on their mind weighing on them about, who's going to be traded, who's going to be on the roster, what the team's going to look like tomorrow. And I just think with all the trade talk going on, I think not just Kobe White, but a lot of guys on the Bulls, I think even though they're professionals, they're still people, and that has to affect the way that they play, at least to some extent, I would think. So hopefully come February 6th, after that, and the All-Star break and everything, the Bulls go on a big run, get back in to pass the play-in, and get to 6th or higher and get in the playoff spots, and we can get past all this trade talk, because I don't think I've ever been happier when the day comes, the calendar turns to February 6th, and we can quit talking.
Not to take away from anything that you said here, right? I want to be clear. I want to say that what you're saying is valid and could be 100% true. But I think it's a cop-out, even if a player who is so worried about getting traded that it affects his game to this degree where Kobe White is making stupid turnovers, bad decisions down the stretch, all that type of stuff, that's bad business. That's bad business. You got to block it out. You got to find a way. Because the difference is, if me or you lost our jobs, that's a lot more detrimental than a player getting traded and still making millions of dollars no matter where they go. So you gotta block that out. I get it. Yes, you've been in Chicago your whole career. I'm sure you have roots, but you don't even make your offseason home Chicago. You're not here in the offseason in the summer. Some of the best time to be in Chicago, you're not here in the offseason. You go back to Carolina. You have a house as well in Cali. So I can't really give him that cop out and saying, oh, the trade rumors are clearly what's getting IO. He'll play better after February 6th. No, you got to lock in now, because there's a potential. And again, trade rumors usually don't come internally from your team. They come from outside sources, media, speculation. You're probably going to be in trade rumors the majority of your career. Miles Turner was in trade rumors since he got to Indiana, and look at what happened. He still were able to box him. You have to block that shit out and play. I'm sorry, that's a knock on a player to me. If you're so distracted by trade rumors, and I get it, there is a human element, but at some point you just got to go out there and play basketball. That's the only thing that you can control. It's not in his control whether he's traded or not. It just isn't. So, that's my thought process on it. Keep in mind, I'm a Kobe White guy. I love Kobe White. I defend Kobe White, but he has to be better than that. You can't let trade rumors completely ruin and tank your season. You just can't, because now you could be costing yourself money. You could be costing yourself a lot of money with how you play, whether it's with Chicago or not. Lock in, focus, play basketball. That's it. But that's going to do it for today's episode, man. I appreciate you guys, as always, for talking in. We are now 4 days away from the NBA trade deadline. 4. The Bulls have added picks, they've added flexibility, and they actually showed a pulse leading into a couple of days before the trade deadline. Now the question is simple. Do they follow through? Is Kobe White next? Does IO stay? Do we make a play for Yves Missi or Day'Ron Sharpe? or do we wait until the draft? Drop your thoughts down below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and the video as well. Subscribe to the channel. You can follow us at Bull Central Pod on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, you can leave us a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag at 773-270-2799. We're the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, stay safe, go Bulls, and always see red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.